Page 10, Fantaisie-Impromptu, Opus 66. Actually, it was a posthumous work, but if they want to call it Opus 66, I guess that's up to them. This is the melody that's in the middle of that impromptu, because the impromptu actually is quite fast. I did a recording of it on my other channel, didn't do a very good job of it. Years ago, when my fingers worked better, I could do it pretty well, but this is the melody that's in the middle. Right hand first. Rhythm shouldn't be much of a problem, I hope. It's 1, 2. Watch this fingering. Reach up with second finger. F sharp, and then reach up a little finger. Make it all legato with the fingers if you can. See, all connected with the fingers if you can. Then lift up. Now watch this fingering. Now, second line, last measure. I tried to find another fingering that worked better, but nothing seemed to work. So we're stuck with using the thumb here. But the melody's the top note, and that's what we want to do. So that's what we're after. That happens later too. And then I suggest a 1-3, and then a 2-5 on the B, F sharp. There. And then you have the melody again. We've already had this. Same fingering. Watch this rhythm. It's a half note. 1, 2. Lift up. 2. See, it starts the next phrase. You think a little early. Syncopated slightly. Okay. Second line there. You're holding the B down, and then here. Watch fingering. We've had this before. Now it's 5. Make sure you play that 8th rest. Lift up. We want silence there. Now, just make them short. It's 1 ienda, 2 ienda if you want to get into it. 1 ienda, 2 ienda, 3 ienda. And again, that 8th rest, play it, but it's okay because you got to come all the way up here. So don't play it real short. No, give it its 8th note value, but because this is a general piece, we don't need any staccato in this right here, at least. And then going on, F natural. This part doesn't work. We got to have the pedal help us out, and then we're going to come down. So you. That's fine. Now, last line on page 11. First measure here. For that dotted rhythm, I recommend a 3-2-3. And then a 5. And if you want to do 1, that's fine. That's a common fingering for this kind of pattern. It's just not needed in this situation. That's fine. And the last measure. Rest, triplets, 4 and 1. Top of page 12, it's the same as we've had before. And go down to the 3rd line. Here's a little different. You're here. Well, start with the last measure of the 2nd line. You're here. And then go ahead and use thumb again. We're kind of forced to. And then 4th finger for the 8th note, E, and then 1-5, 1-4. Lift up for the 8th note. Now the fun part. Don't forget the C sharp. Lift up. Their fingering is fine. I've tried other fingerings. Nothing is any better than this. Go with this. Try and play them all legato, connected. That's the hard part. And then you're stretching out there. You got to stretch out sometimes. And then the last bit of that 3rd finger, just stay with. You don't need thumb there. We've been through this before. Top of page 13, triplets. 4 and a 1. Make sure they're even. People will tend to go, that's not a triplet, or that's not a triplet. Even. Yeah. And then it goes through a whole bunch more. Then at the bottom, you're here. You've had all this before. And for the first measure of the bottom there, on the last note, that 8th note, they're saying 1-5. I disagree. I would do a 1-4, because you're coming from here, connect it, and then a 1-5 for the half note, and then a 1-4. They give you 1-4 for that one. And that's the right hand. The left hand is supporting, so keep the left hand soft. We'll try and play it as legato as we can. We can't, but we've tried to. And it's here. If you want to use a third finger, you can, but you need 5-1 on the last measure. Then thumb, then come down. D sharp. I use second finger on the B. And that is another D sharp. Last line on page 10, second measure, thumb, and then here. They don't really need a natural sign there. It's a natural anyway, but they're being nice to you because you had a sharp in the previous measure. We go through that some more. Wonderful. So now let's go down to line 3 on page 11. You're here, and 2. Watch this. I like second finger on the C sharp, but you can use thumb. Like second finger or thumb. See, it's all legato with the fingers. Connected it all with the fingers. The top of page 12. Here. Little finger on that A so you can get to the G. Now you're going to have to raise up and move because I can't reach that. I guess I can, but it's not a comfortable reach, so I can come down. See, we're back to that mess. The same thing you've had is rather repetitious on the left hand, which is kind of nice. It makes it a little easier or a little less difficult, I'm not sure. Let's look at page 13. Second line. Then we got triplets. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and 2. You got to be able to go back and forth on this on piano. So it's starting with a G. Get the notes first. G, that's the chord. Next chord is an F sharp. And then an E. And then here. You get the chords. Then you can go back a 1. Like so. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a. So. Now go down to the bottom. Last line, you're here. 2. Then a thumb. And now last two measures. That last quarter note, the A. And the next to the last measure, that's tied. You hang on to it and you just add the D. And then in the third beat, you just raise up and go down. That's the left hand. Work them out one hand at a time so you've got it. Then go attempt to put them together. Oh. How slow you go here doesn't matter because you're just trying to get the different fingers to work at the same time. May have to think, well, because of the eighth notes and things going on, I got to take it really slow. Think 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3. 1 and 2 and. Don't speed it up because of this part. Because when you get to the other part, you got to slow it down. Try and do it all at one speed if you can. Doesn't matter how slow it is. You're just concentrating on getting the notes and the fingering. that just sounds wonderful, don't it? Second line, second measure on page 10, you're here. Up for the 8th note. See, this is tricky in the right hand. This is why we got to go so slow to get this, and you may have to spend extra time on these measures. Just go over these measures over and over and over until you smooth it out. If it's not working for you, just keep going over it. I do it a measure at a time. You can do it however. Some people do it a phrase at a time. Remember the rest in the right hand at the bottom. Rest. Well, you just work this out slowly. Over on page 12, you have just more stuff you've already had. Let's go over to page 13. The first line. So you have a G here. What's this? Right there. Oh, goody. Second line, second measure. 1 enda, 2 enda, 3 enda, and then the fourth beat we got different rhythms, and I need to talk about that a little bit because different people have different opinions on this. Just want to make sure you're clear. People won't agree. Second line, second measure. You're here. First, you got to work out the notes. Are they working okay? Okay, and then you can gradually speed it up. Now the last beat. Technically, that dotted or that 16th note comes after the last triplet. So right there. Right there. And that's how I recommend you play it. Some people will turn it into a triplet. Back in the 1700s, this is a lot of times this is the way they would do it. They would automatically play that as a triplet, and they would play that 16th note with the last note. But this was written 100 years later, and it needs to be that rhythm. And then you just finish it off. That shouldn't be a problem. Get it all working for you so it's kind of smooth and you can hear all the notes. And then we can go back maybe and add some expression to it. Now for the sake of this video, so this video isn't going to be 4 hours long, I'm going to combine the expression and all that with the pedal. And normally I'd do the expression and dynamics and all that and get that worked out first because I want to hear it. Then I'd add the pedal. But I'm going to combine them right now because this video is long enough as it is. It's a problem with doing videos on a little more advanced music is they tend to get longer because the music's more involved and there's more things to talk about, more things to think about. So at the beginning, first it's soft, and that's the right hand. The left hand has to stay really out of the way. Everything we want to hear is in the right hand. For the most part, I mean the triplet figures are kind of nice, but still those are going to be soft because the melody is still in the other hand. So here, that's soft to play. You have to decide how fast. And then keep the left hand under it. And I am pedaling it just the way they're showing. I can offer other pedals, but let's get through this if we can. overlapping pedal. Now here in the second line, first measure, I'm going to lift the pedal with the right hand. I want to hear some silence before I play that B. It's a new phrase, so it's... The left hand is legato, it stays down. It's just the right hand. And we're pedaling every beat on here. And on the third line down, last beat, I don't pedal the last beat of the second measure. It's a new phrase in the right hand. I want to hear silence and I want to clean out all that sound. So it's here. First line on page 11, last measure. I want to hear a break in the sound in the right hand. It's a new phrase, so I'm lifting the pedal with the right hand. And again, third line down, first measure, lift the pedal up so I hear the eighth rest. In the last measure, that's kind of nice to hear the eighth rest. Not as important, but I'll leave that up to you. If you lift the pedal up with the right hand, make sure you keep the left hand down, or just pedal it legato. And I'm going to hear the eighth of the quarter rest at the last measure, page 11. Lift it up with the right hand. And I don't pedal that. I don't want to smear them. Ugh. So the last measure again on page 11, I'm just pedaling the first and third beats basically is all it is. And then because those triplets have to fall right into go into here. And then all of this is the same as what we've already had before. Let's go over to page 13. Second line here. Again, I'm pedaling with the phrasing. Lift up with each beat. And then the third line down, again, pedal it with the phrasing. Lift up. Raise the keys up, and then I'm going to slowly lift the pedal up and let the sound die away. And that's basically what this is. Didn't do a lot with the dynamics. You have to feel this. Get to know the piece well enough so you can feel this dynamics, and you feel this getting louder or whatever. And the dynamics shown here are suggestions. You have to go back to the original arrangement and see what they are, and you're not going to find a lot. So you feel it on it. These are good guidelines to go by, but you might alter these eventually.